Howdy, howdy, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 327. Here we are, first week of the year. Gone. It's amazing. Trust you're having a good one. I hope your New Year's resolution are still going strong. I can tell you that I checked the boxes on articles, and I'm happy to have another one this last week accepted, and got some stock photos out. Check. Um, and shooting at the ranch. Well, I didn't get 2 hours in. I got an hour in, but hey, I hope your resolutions are going well. Had a number of folks reach out this week and ask if I was going to get the new Z85 1.2. I am not. As I've mentioned many times, the 85 millimeter focal length, whatever it is, someday I will figure it out. It just doesn't click with me. I just don't. That focal length and me we just don't get together. Now the 135 1.2 that's on the Nikon Z roadmap, now that one has got my attention. At the same time, I have added the Z50 1.2. Why and how I'm going to use it? Well, you're just going to have to wait for that video. One part of my resolution I didn't get done this week was the video I wanted to get shot. Man, it was a great week, really busy, and I missed out on that one. So, appreciate hearing from you guys, and I trust you're doing as well, if not better, on your New Year's resolutions. Speaking of New Year's resolutions and thanking folks, I want to thank the folks at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. I was thick as thieves with these guys this week for a number of things. One, for getting a new lens, and two, for getting some stuff in the works for this late summer, fall that you're not going to believe. It's going to blow your socks off. It's really cool. You know, those guys, I've talked about their great inventory, their great service, their great knowledge-based staff, the Moose discount, that's MOOSE. For those who didn't know about that 5% discount, you get it after you check out. Did you know they have some killer classes? I'm talking about really great classes. All the stores have classes. They are from, if you're just a beginner, to super advanced and everywhere in between. I would highly recommend heading to bedfords.com, not only to buy good stuff, but to learn, what you can do with what you already own, or B, see the possibilities of things you might want to buy. So bedfords.com, they got you covered. And thank you, folks, for your support for the Moose Podcast. One little small thing that I want to put out there. I saw in the past week a whole bunch of folks who are reviewing gear, and then people comment those gears. Here's my question: why the hell are you even watching those things? Because if you listen to the Moose Podcast for a while, and some of you have been I've been there since day one. I God bless you. Thank you for your support. You know that, in my own personal opinion, that you cannot sit there and rate a piece of gear the day after you receive it. I mean, you've got to know the piece of gear to get the most out of the gear and yourself. If you get a piece of gear brand new and you go out and it doesn't perform like you think, and I've seen a whole lot of reviewers this week blame the gear. And I'm not talking about just Nikon stuff. It's like, what the hey? You know, it's brand new to you, and you think that you're such a gift to photography that just because you get a new piece of gear that, boom, it should perform because it's in your hands? I don't think so. I just wanted to, that little rant, it's been bugging me. It's like, hey, it's not me, it's got to be the gear syndrome. It's like, yeah, no, I think it's you. Anyway, just me. Anyway, back to my civil self. Back to this week's podcast. Hello, Fresh. So, us Petersons, and I'm talking about my brothers and my dad, we have been very well known forever. That, for example, when we would get a model, especially like at Christmas, when we get a model and you'd have to assemble it, right? Then you get done and you have this plane or boat or whatever. We were notorious for just looking at the pictures and just going. Reading the details was never really, well, at least personally, never my forte. Uh, it could be that I get bored really fast. It could be that I get really anxious. It could be I want to sit there and see it all done. I don't want to work through the process or all those combined. Now, when it comes to cooking, um, now if you look at a picture of my prior self, you can say, "Yeah, Moose does enjoy his food," and that is true. I do. And I grew up with a dad that really liked to cook. Learned from a really good chef, and a mom that, for the most part, could cook. But yeah, those steamed frozen vegetables, they left something to desire. But anyway, I learned to cook by a scoop of this, a pinch of that, and measuring cups and recipes just really weren't. Wow, they weren't part of how I learned how to cook, or a lot of other things, models, woodworking. Well, uh, probably, I guess around Thanksgiving last year, Brent and Kat had mentioned that they had started to get the HelloFresh products. And for those who aren't aware of HelloFresh, there's a number of companies out there doing it. You can buy one, two, three, whatever, how many days or meals of food you want. They send you all the raw ingredients, which includes spices and fruits and vegetables and the meat and everything. I mean, it's all there. The only thing they don't provide is like olive oil or butter, salt and pepper. Otherwise, it's all there. And you pick this week what you want them to send you next week to prepare and eat. And Kat and Brent had talked about how, um, especially in the wintertime where, it's dark early, you don't want to go out, don't want to, you work 9 to 5, and afterwards you want to go to the market, and then the convenience. And Sharon and I sat there and we thought about it for a little bit, and had some other friends over the years said they really enjoyed it once they were empty nesters because, if it's just one of you or two of you shopping and cooking, it gets old, right? And Sharon, bless her heart, was doing for the last year or so the lion's share of a lot of the cooking. I had been doing other things, so it was time for me to get back and step up the plate and get in the kitchen and give her a break. Well, we went and got the HelloFresh, and the we got it for set up for 3 meals, 3 dinners, just 3 dinners a week, and economically it works out pretty darn well. And the meals really darn tasty. They got all these great spices. We kind of thought we'd get it because the spices, I don't know spices. And you hear watch a cooking show, and they say this, that, and the other spice. It's like, what does that mean? I got to taste them. So we learned a bunch of different spices, and rather than buying a big jar that looks like it ends up you don't like it. Anyway, it's worked out well learning some spices. We've had some really phenomenal meals, but to get to the point, so HelloFresh sends you this big 8 by 10 card. On one side is like the final plating photograph of the final meal and all the ingredients that you have. They sent you. The other side is the prep, the recipe, step by step recipe. You wash this, you slice that, you put get the oven to temp, and you put this aside, and it's step by step. 1 tablespoon there, and well, be quite honest, it's a recipe. And right off the bat, I look at this thing and I go, here's his final photograph. I know this is what it should end up looking like. And here you've spoon fed me all the components. Here they are. I have to slice and dice and just heat them up and have you, and then do it in this A, B, C, D order. And at the end, I should have this meal you see on the one side of the card. And I'm thinking about, you know, photographers, yes, bringing it back to that photography, photographers tend a lot to want that recipe. And then they try to follow it to the best of their abilities to end up with that final photograph, like the final photograph you see plated for Hello Fresh. And there I am. I'm the guy who a scoop of this, a pinch of that, a blub blub of vanilla, what have you, and it works. It tastes good. So what's the point? We all have different ways in which we take in information, we distill in information, assemble the information, and then come up with a final whatever it is from all of that data. Now, if you're kind of like me and you'd like a pinch of this, a scoop of that, then these formulas or recipes might not work for you. On the flip side, what if you don't know how to get to that final dish, that final photograph? I know in the beginning, I sure didn't know how to get to that end picture that I wanted after looking at somebody else's photograph that had inspired me to go in that direction. And for a long time, trying to follow the step by steps in a magazine article, you quickly learn that there's always a step left out, not because of any malicious reasoning, only because you ain't got all the space that you'd want as a writer to put every single step in there. So, how is a photographer supposed to move that ball forward? Well, that's what I was thinking about. Is I'm doing these recipes and Sharon's saying, you might not want to put that rack on the top of the oven. Things burn. You might not want that skillet as hot as they say. You might actually want to think as you read that recipe and apply what you know to the recipe and kind of make the recipe your own. And that's when it clicked. That's what photographers need to do. That's what I end up doing so long ago, was taking what I thought were other recipes and literally applying each thing that the recipe said, and then not really quite happy with the results or the process of things got burnt, things got undercooked, things got left out. That's because I didn't make them my own and for quite a while. And I'm just thinking and just saying out loud that perhaps when you look at, from myself or anybody else, their set of recipes, step by step recipe for a particular photograph, that you need to interpret that a little bit. You need to inject your own spice, your own seasoning, your own creativity, your own passion, and perhaps not follow it step by step, but sidestep, jump ahead, fall back, step kind of thing. And perhaps in that way, you can get to that photograph of that plated meal on the one side of the card in your own way with a little bit of your own, TLC thrown in for good measure. And to be honest with you, if you don't show the person the plate of food you put in front of them, the card that what it's supposed to look like, they're going to take that plate of food and to go, this tastes good, even though it doesn't look quite like what it's supposed to. The final taste, yummy. And your photograph, well, it might not be exactly like what inspired you, but it'll be your own. And whammo, there you go. You're a photographer. You can say, "Hello, Fresh." I want to thank you folks for stopping by. Don't hesitate for a second to reach out. Go to the website, send me a question, either for the podcast or in general. I'm here to help. I'm also there on Any Question, Kelby One Forums, Instagram, Twitter. I'm here to help you any way I can, guys. We're going to make 2023 even better than 2022. And it starts by remembering to make every click your story.